What does the future hold for Lambert Airport? Some people say if Lambert is to continue serving as this region's air hub, it must expand to meet the rapidly growing demands of air traffic, which is expected to double in the next 2 decades. The airport is now looking at 4 possible expansion plans, but choosing any one will disrupt thousands of nearby homes and businesses. Good morning, I'm John Noel. Thank you for joining us. The future of Lambert Airport is our subject this morning. Should Lambert be expanded at all costs to meet growing air traffic demands, or is the loss of 10,000 to 12,000 homes in Bridgeton too high a price to pay? And what about the possibility of building a new airport further out in St. Louis County? My 2 guests this morning have some thoughts about those questions and other possibilities for the future of Lambert Airport. Joining me are Dylewski, Associate Counselor for the City of St. Louis, and Charlie Sapp, a Councilman for the City of Bridgeton. Thank you both for joining us. First, let's talk about why, one thing I think we need to clarify. While Lambert Airport sits in St. Louis County, it is owned by the City of St. Louis, and maybe some people don't realize that. And that's where we get this conflict at this point. What the city sees as the future for Lambert Airport and how that impacts on people who live out in St. Louis County. Where does the city sit right now? What do you see as the future for Lambert Airport?
Well, first of all, to correct your lead-in statement, we do not use the figure of 8,000 to 10,000 homes in Bridgeton being affected by airport expansion. The figure that we are studying will be released in October when the master plan announces the one preferred alternative that we're selecting. We don't know how that figure is, but we'd like to inform your viewers that that's not the figure that we're looking at. When we looked at expansion south of Highway 70, those figures were showing houses in that range, and we thought that was too much for this community to bear for airport expansion. So what we did is we had the master planners go back and design an airport plan that can meet the needs of the 21st century so that we can serve the public of the metropolitan region. This airport is over 60 years old at Lambert. For 60 years, the community has been building an infrastructure around that airport of highways and light rail that will be going out to Lambert. We believe, as the voters won it in 1972, to use Lambert as long as possible, that by allowing us to meet the demands of this economy for the 21st century, we can protect the standard of living for this entire region. Because everybody in this region is affected by the airport. When major corporations want to expand or bring in corporate divisions, this area is the 3rd largest in the country. Those divisions, when Ralston-Purina brought in Ever-Ready Battery from the East Coast, when Anheuser-Busch, McDonnell Douglas, Emerson Electric, Monsanto decide to expand, they look at the airport to see if it can fit with the needs of the country.
So what exactly would you do to Lambert Airport? What sort of changes do you want to see out there?
Okay, the problem we have at Lambert is that we only have one all-weather runway. When it's a foggy day or a cold, snowy day, we have to go to IFR conditions, which means that we have to use one runway. What we can do is expand and protect the infrastructure of the airport by adding runways to the west of the airport. Now, we've looked at 27 alternatives. We boiled those down to 4 in August, and now we're down to 1. What we believe is that we can protect the economy of this region by serving the needs of the aviation community and the region which it serves. Everybody's jobs interact with the airport, not just the 12,000 people who work at the airport, of which only 500 are city employees, but the people who work for those major corporations, the construction worker who builds that new home, the retailer worker who sells the commodities to that new family that moves into St. Louis, the hotel and restaurant worker who gets treated by the business convention business that we are expanding in this area. We are trying to become a more service-orientated community, and because of that, we need a strong airport.
Now, your argument sounds sound, but as always, there's another side to this issue. And Mr. Sapp, you're in Bridgeton, the area that will be most affected by any of the 4 possible expansion plans. How do you view the situation at Lambert Airport? Is expansion the only answer as far as you're concerned?
No, it's not, John. And I think that the numbers that you threw out with the lead-in of several thousand homes is the first real truth that I've heard thrown into this whole expansion concept. The airport would like to lead everyone on to think that there's only a few hundred homes involved. The 100 homes that they're talking about would be those that lay right under the asphalt or the concrete they're going to throw down. And I think that the cities that surround Bridgeton are finding that this is not just a city of Bridgeton's fight and concern, that it's an expansion that really will impact all of the surrounding communities and the whole region. You know, a growing number of cities are joining with Bridgeton in voicing their opposition to the 4 proposals. As you know, they were all developed without any input from the communities surrounding the airport, and they will really have a negative impact from the noise that is going to really affect the region. You threw out numbers like several thousand. If you look at just the noise contours that are generated by Lambert right now, there are over 32,000 residential units that are in noise-sensitive areas. Those homes have never been addressed by the airport. They have never had a master plan in the past. And the one that they're going through now is really a slap in the face to the people that live in the St. Louis area. When they were proposing a master plan study, it was supposed to be a no-holds-barred, go out and tell me what we really need to do for the region. Not only look at expanding Lambert, but look at a secondary airport, look at a new facility, no holds barred. But as Mr. Dylewski confirmed at his meeting in St. Charles, the master plan that they're looking at now only considers the expansion of Lambert. As a resident of the area and in the region, I really feel hurt that, you know, we've been lied to for almost a year now, that they were going to be looking at all these plans, and they look at nothing but the expansion of Lambert. And I think that the communities find that it's going to have a very large negative impact on our area. We know that Lambert is a major revenue producer in the area. There's no doubt about that. But the rumors that the airport would like you to believe say it's an either-or. We either have Lambert or we don't have Lambert. Now, to me, the only way you won't have Lambert is that the management that operates the airport is so poor that they can't continue to operate with another facility.
Well, if they don't expand, if the airport doesn't expand, what is an alternative? I mean, I'm assuming that you do feel that this area is growing and will continue to grow to such a degree that we need more, we'll need more space somewhere for air traffic.
The trade-off has to be made, John, between how much it impacts a region, does it really serve the region, and the benefits that you get out of the expansion. Mr. Dylewski alluded to the fact that the expansion is needed for weather conditions, IFR, when they have to bring them in on instrument flight plans. Right now, with instrument, they go down to 1 runway. Mr. Bennett, in a presentation to the RCGA, said that they would only utilize the 2 new runways, not even alluding to the 3rd runway that would be put in as part of the expansion, the 2 new runways during the inclement weather. It really seems ridiculous that you're going to destroy communities. You're going to spend $1 billion to just put in 2 runways for conditions that maybe happen 20% of the time and maybe only 5% of the time really need dual landing capability.
What do we do?
That's the beauty of the Lambert system. Lambert right now is in the heart of the national air transportation system. We're the 7th busiest airport in the country. There are 13,000 families who depend on jobs at Lambert. That spinoff affects our entire community. We understand the fear and anxieties that communities around the airport have, and we understand that they're looking for explanations. That's why we've started this master planning process, and that's why we've been working on it for 1.5 years. And that's why, in the middle of October, we'll announce a plan. Today, we understand their fears. We look forward to meeting with these communities, as Mr. Sapp has already stated, that we have gone out into the communities and held discussions. Furthermore, if we don't expand Lambert, we then have to wait for a very disruptive time period to decide where that airport should be. During that time, airline delays will mount. Currently, it is estimated that there are $50 million worth of airline delays at Lambert because of the capacity problems that we're approaching. What we hope to do is to expand Lambert with its current infrastructure so that we don't have to go out to another community and build a new airport from scratch. The last time a new airport was built from scratch was 15 years ago in Dallas-Fort Worth.
John,
once we pick an airport, We then have to build the highways to cross the rivers to get to it. If you go north over the Missouri or west over the Missouri River or east over the Mississippi or south over the Merrimack. And as Kansas City learned, if you put the airport in the wrong place, it doesn't serve the community as it's supposed to. What we must do is find ways, and that's why we've done the master plan, that we have a minimal impact on the surrounding communities. And that's the purpose of the master plan. That's why we abandoned plans to move south of the highway, because that would have impacted the surrounding communities.
John, let me add some comments there.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I still,
Go ahead.
what's your feeling about, I mean, he mentions an alternative, the possibility, and you brought it up as well, of another airport. Is that what you think will solve this problem?
John, the problem at hand right now is that the city of St. Louis is dictating to the county the expansion plans that they feel is required. They're dictating those to the county. There's no representation there. That is a major problem. The county has never had any representation on a city-owned and operated airport in the county. We've been impacted by the noise, the pollution, and everything that goes with the operation. Yes, the benefits, but we've also suffered with all the problems that go with it. That is one of the things we need to address. We are not here to say that which facility and what should be done. That should be the responsibility of a responsible consulting firm. But the thing that the city keeps alluding to is that the only option is either expand Lambert or a new facility. They have never looked at cooperation within a regional facility. Scott is going to go. General Coverdale was at the RCGA meeting. He says Scott is going to go. Now, to me, the city of St. Louis, Mayor Schamel, are making their last chance for a land grab and expansion at Lambert. Scott is going to go. St. Louis is either going to have to get with it or they're going to lose. But I don't think expansion is really what is required to keep Lambert with it. We need to take Lambert away from the control of the city and put this whole region under a regional control. Regional control so that we can grow.
I mean, you really opened a can of worms
First of all.
advocating the city giving up control of Lambert.
It needs to be done. I mean, it is in the county.
You have to look at the master plan. The master plan, first of all, has 5 members on the oversight committee. They sit from the state of Illinois, St. Charles County, St. Louis County, and the city of St. Louis. The master plan is a private consultant firm that was selected through a process. That master plan is working right now. We have regional participation in that master plan. Furthermore, we have worked toward regional cooperation by the city proposing on its own and working closely with the county council to put representation on the airport commission. That's very positive. We have learned from our mistakes of the past. During the 1970s, when we looked at Scott Waterloo and looked at Columbia Waterloo, what happened was the region was torn asunder. We do not have to forget that lesson and tear this region again. Scott is a military air base that is going to put a runway, and that will stand on its own. That will be for for cargo operations and other operations that develop. That is a separate issue. Whoever owns Lambert must expand it. The time delay I talked about earlier, 15 years to try to build a new airport from scratch, once you make a decision, is 3 times more expensive than trying to make Lambert meet the 21st century. But during that time, what will happen?
Don, you don't have to build a new one.
During that time, the airline delays will build. Airlines will begin to pull out of our region, and we will no longer be a hub. You won't be able to fly to 96 cities. No longer will conventions, of which there were 800 last year in St. Louis, want to come to a place they can't get to. Businesses will not want to be here because
we just have a few seconds before the break. We'll come back and we'll continue this. And I also want to get onto the idea of all that sounds good, but what do you tell the people who live in the area who are going to be immediately affected by all of this? We'll continue our discussion about the future of Lambert Airport right after these messages. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, with me is Donald Dylewski, Associate Counselor for the City of St. Louis, and Charlie Sapp, a Councilman for the City of Bridgeton, and we're talking about the future of Lambert Airport to expand or to find another facility to handle increasing air traffic. Before the break, I asked you, what do you tell people who live in the area of Bridgeton who are going to be faced by this problem? You talk about what the region needs. What about their needs? I know the city has made a move to get county representation on the airport commission, but that comes a little late for the people who are going to be affected by this plan. What do you tell those people?
Whoever owns the airport has to expand the airport because of the needs it serves the entire region. What our actions have shown over the last 9 years, that the airport has committed over $140 million to purchase homes around the airport. Of those 1,500 homes around the airport, most of those purchases have been amiable negotiations with owners. We have, under the guidelines of federal programs that we participate in, spend money to relocate these people, paying their moving cost, their closing cost, interest differential cost between their old loans and new loans, and we pay a fair and equitable price for their property. We have bought properties in Bridgeton, St. Anne, Berkeley, Kenlock, Hazelwood. This airport has been expanding for 60 years. We will continue those projects because we must be fair with the communities around the airport. And our actions speak louder than our words in this case. For 9 years, we have been acquiring over 1,500 homes, and most, if not the vast majority of those, have been amiable negotiations where a representative of the airport meets with the homeowner and deals with the homeowner directly. And then the homeowner, if he accepts our offers and the packages of relocation benefits, sign an agreement, and we work with them as we have worked in the city of Bridgeton Terrace and the city of Bridgeton.
What if the homeowner, and I've spoken to homeowners in Bridgeton, people who've spent their entire lives in that community who don't want to leave their neighborhoods.
We understand the anxieties and the fears, but as the city of Bridgeton understands, in the past we have bought parts of Bridgeton east of Natural Bridge and the old Bridgeton Terrace city, and we have bought the community of McNulty Manor, which is at Fifi Road and Natural Bridge. And we have worked diligently over the last 3 or 4 years with those people acquiring their property. And we have done so without problems or undue anxiety among those residents. And that program will continue. We have acquired some 70 of 90 homes
Are you
in McNulty Manor.
How do you respond to that? The airport says it will be fair.
John, I've sat through it. I served as a representative from the city of Bridgeton on the airport community program, and I watched the people on the east side suffer. You know, once again, the airport delegates programs like the airport community programs after the fact. They say, county, we've expanded, here's the problem, you solve it. And then they have county representatives trying to take care of the hardship, the heartbreak cases, people that need to move out of the area. The airport considers an amiable solution when it doesn't go to court. If it has to go to court, then that might not be an amiable solution between homeowners. But if you really look at the buyouts, and let me tell you that buyouts are not something that happen overnight. They've spent 10 years buying 1,500 homes. And those homes were for noise mitigation, and now they're planning to use that property for expansion. So the noise mitigation expands, and it goes on out to other communities. Thousands of homes are going to take years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and that's if the money is still there for the buyout. The people truly suffer. The airport would like to think that it's doing them a favor. I know there are federal guidelines that it sets up, but when you live in a house, you don't have a lot of equity, and you have to get a fair price for it. And you find the house next door to you has been boarded up, the windows are broken out, the weeds are 2 foot tall. People are moving out of the community. The community is going from what you moved into, from what you wanted to raise your family, to a transient type neighborhood. I ask you, John, how long are you going to live there? I mean, are you going to hold out for the price that you really need, a price that is fair? If there is a fair price. There's no fair market price. You bought in a community and now you're being booted out. They might give you some kind of a market price, but not a replacement. You can't buy your home again. You end up losing.
Now, I know you don't buy into the idea that expansion is inevitable, but if it is, isn't it also clear that somebody is going to have to take the hit on this, that some community is going to be affected, but everybody's going to say the same thing? Sure, we need to expand, but don't come into my neighborhood.
John, if Lambert and the owners and operators of Lambert truly want to make this into a metropolitan facility, they need to address the problem with truth and something up front. They have proposed 4 concepts without even the funding to get it going. They have thrown a cloud over several communities as far as real estate values and what's going to happen in the future. If they truly want to make this a regional facility, to make it grow, this expansion is not going to serve the year 2010, let alone past 2010. What happens then? Then do they go out and grab another community and destroy it? The expansion that they're planning for is not set up for a major metropolitan area. It's a makeshift. They're saying that it's being expanded for inclement weather. why expand for inclement weather? If this is to be a major airport, do it right. Have enough land that you can lay the runways out and make it a reasonable facility. Their expansion is not reasonable.
The beauty of Lambert is that it sits in the center of our region. In 30 minutes, a grandfather can be seeing his grandchildren in Alton. A businessman can be in Clayton, Chesterfield, or downtown St. Louis. Someone can go to St. Charles County and make a business meeting, or be looking at a new home from Lambert Airport. The strength of Lambert is that it's in the center of the region. It is 60 years in the making. We can make it work into the 21st century. The beauty of Lambert is that we are concerned about the communities. Why else would we abandon the plan south of 70? Why else have we acquired 1,500 homes without controversy until we talked about expansion? When we buy houses, look at comparables outside the impacted neighborhood so that we can give a fair value. What we try to do at Lambert is try to meet the needs of the 21st century. Indianapolis, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Denver are all planning major expansions as we speak. If we don't protect our natural economic center of the country with our airport as it exists today, that hub will move elsewhere.
How far will you need to go?
Okay.
Let's go 10 years ahead from now. Will we have this same conversation 10 years from now and talk about Hazelwood or Florissant or...
Yes, we will, John.
No. The reason why is our master plan is looking until the year 2010. That is a 20-year projection into the future. What we're hoping to do with this expansion is build the runways that we need to remain competitive with the rest of the country. With an airport, either you stay up with the rest of the country or you fall behind. And then we're a second-class city and everyone's impacted. What that means is that you would have to go to Indianapolis or Chicago, spend half a day, wait for another airplane to go somewhere else. When businessmen and people want to go on vacation, they want to go to an airport. And that airport has been Lambert. Those delays are increasing at Lambert now because of our current configuration. They will increase if we don't protect the future.
One thing I want to, where is the money coming from?
Okay, we are looking at three funding sources. Traditionally, revenue bonds issued by the airport, revenues from the operation of the airport, and we're also looking at a user fee for the passengers who use the airport so that we can fund locally the money. If we can't raise $1 billion to expand Lambert and modernize it into the 21st century, how do our opponents project to raise $3 billion to build from scratch a new airport? But it's the time delay that destroys this community. If we don't act now and plan for the future, we would be accused of being irresponsible.
John, it's the mentality. It's back to the either or. The city of St. Louis either wants to close Lambert or they want to build a new facility. They don't even think about the region. I mean, this can go on. I mean, Lambert can still serve the community and the region, but the city of St. Louis doesn't want to look at that way.
No, this is.
And let me say,
let's not cloud the issue over the problem.
All of the buyouts have not been without controversy.
The problem is how does this airport serve the entire community, not who owns the airport. The airport serves the entire community. Bridgeton benefits from the airport when the Radisson Company announced a new $40 million hotel, a 7-story hotel, one of the largest hotels to be in the county, is going to go up in the city of Bridgeton. They both benefit from the airport, as well as the workers of McDonnell Douglas and TWA who live in the city of Bridgeton.
What happens after the expansion, though? I mean, will there be a Bridgeton?
Okay. No, definitely. That's why we're trying to minimize the impact.
How much, Don? How much? You're going to cut right through the residential heart of the city.
We have announced 4 plans.
Once you take away the city, just like the city of St. Louis, once you take away the residents, John, what's going to be left? You are cutting through 2,000 to 3,000 homes in our city.
No.
The heart of our residential
We haven't
area.
even announced the master plan's final preferred alternative. That will happen in mid-October.
Does it matter, Don?
Yes,
cut
it
through
does.
the heart of the community anyway.
Because we are not cutting through the heart of Bridgeton. Bridgeton's a very large community of 18,000 people. We are not trying to dislocate or destroy the city of Bridgeton.
You take out 3,000 homes, you've cut through a major part of the community.
We are not taking out 3,000 homes.
They're not,
the
John,
master
because
plan
they only consider
hasn't even been announced. And what we're trying to do is take existing property that we own already by maximizing its use and then try to develop a reasonable plan. This is a community of 2.5 million people. We have to serve the entire community. It's a regional asset. We must not forget the mistakes of the past, of the mid-'70s. And we must build on the regional cooperation that we are working with the county now on the Airport Commission to develop a regional asset. The airport must go into the 21st century, or those other cities, as Indianapolis, Dallas, Fort Worth, will take our hub and the jobs and the prosperity and threaten everyone's quality of life in this region.
Proposed representation on the Airport Commission is 10 members appointed by the city, 5 members appointed by the county. Do you envision at all a 50-50 makeup on the commission? I mean, right now as it stands, there are no county representatives on the commission out of 9 members. You lose 9-0, you lose 10-5. Will the city ever allow it to be balanced?
John, the airport is not a city-county issue. The airport is an airport issue of expansion. How do we serve those who use the airport?
John,
this administration has added a county representative to the commission 2 years ago. We have worked with the leaders of
non-voting.
We have worked with the leaders of the county council to appoint 5 members of the airport commission. Whoever sits on the airport commission must face the needs of making the airport work. Let's not cloud the issue with emotionalism and regional
John, can I make a point before we close?
Of both those things.
What's going to happen is we're going to have to come back to this because on Thursday, October 12th, an announcement will be made about which of the 4 plans the city will choose. If Lambert Airport expands, it's inevitable that homes and businesses in nearby areas will be disrupted. Thanks to my guests, Charlie Sapp of Bridgeton and Dylewski of St. Louis City. I'm John Noel. Thanks for watching.